Hi, it's Dr. Woods, and I get questions every single day now about peptides, and that is probably because the whole entire field of peptides is currently exploding. But many people have no idea what the heck they are. So, in short, let's help you understand what a peptide is. A peptide is a short chain of amino acids. It can be as short as, say, 3 amino acids and as long as 40 amino acids chained together. You go above 40, and the general consensus is that we call that a protein, or maybe in the drug field we call that a biologic. But let's talk about 40 or less right now, which are the most common peptides that are hitting the market and people are trying. Common ones being the GLPs, like semaglutide, tirzepatide, retatrutide, and healing peptides like BPC 157, TB 500, KPV, GHK copper, things like that. How does a peptide work? Well, a peptide is kind of like a lock and key system. The peptide is looking for a receptor, and the body has a receptor for that peptide. So right off the bat, peptides are natural. Yes, there are synthetic peptides, but the receptor that they are going to connect with, or either agonize or antagonize. Agonize means that they are going to stimulate that receptor to do what it does. Antagonize means they are going to downregulate, block, or stop what that receptor would normally do. So most peptides that we are taking today are agonism. They are trying to get something to happen rather than downregulate. So once the peptide is in the bloodstream, it is going to look for a place to dock, like a key looking for a lock. When the peptide is able to dock with its proper receptor, it will turn that receptor on or off and make something happen. So, peptides were first discovered in the 1920s. The very first peptide discovered was insulin. And that is a signaling molecule that just happens to be longer than 40 amino acids, but still considered a peptide today because it's the first one. Those definitions weren't yet established. And what insulin does is it goes around the body, docks itself into cells, and tells them to be willing to accept blood sugar, basically, fuel. And that's how the fuel gets into the cell, and the mitochondria can change that into energy. So that's what insulin does. Other peptides like the GLPs will go into 1, 2, or 3 different receptors and tell the body to slow down digestion, wake up insulin sensitivity, get that sugar into the cells, and also something like telling the liver to burn more fat than it normally would instead of carbohydrates, that kind of thing. So are there peptides already in your body? Yes, there are. There's thousands of them, and that's how your body already works. So I do not like the term drug for a peptide under 40 amino acids. I like to call it a peptide because they're already in your body. They're already natural. And yes, like I said, there are synthetic peptides that do more than a normal or endogenous peptide would. But peptide therapy is exogenous. In other words, you are taking peptides outside your body and putting them into your body and encouraging functions to happen. Lastly, one thing that causes a lot of confusion with people is that peptides are not specifically for a diagnosis. They're not specifically for a disease process. They're signaling molecules that will help enhance where something has gone wrong or something is deficient. So in a way, a peptide is like a supplement. If you don't have enough vitamin D coursing through your body, then you need to take a supplement or get sunshine. That is kind of the same thing with peptides. If you take a peptide exogenously that your body already has plenty of, you're not going to notice much difference. You're not going to notice anything happening. But if you take a peptide that you are, say, pretty low on, like an example would be like a coenzyme NAD that gets depleted as we age, you're going to notice a difference if you're 70 years old. You're not going to notice much difference if you're 18 because you probably have the proper numbers of that. So just remember, find out what's going on first. Find out where you need signaling. Find out where processes in your body may or may not be working properly. Get a blood test, speak to a doctor, those types of things. Don't just throw peptides at problems. I mean, people have asked me, what peptide is for the eye? Well, there isn't one. What peptide is for better digestion? There really isn't one. It just depends on what's causing the problem with your eye. What's causing the problem with your blood pressure? What's causing the problem with your lack of sleep? You got to dig into where you need the signaling. I hope that helps. I'm Dr. Woods. Have a great day.